I'm here with Leonard Steinberg and Eleonora Srugo. Leonard Steinberg is a veteran top broker, now chief evangelist at Compass, and a long-time poster and derider of real estate reality television. It's a rich legacy, but we can put it together for Leonard. Welcome. And Eleonora is a top luxury broker at Douglas Elliman, and most recently the star of Netflix's Selling the City. So just for getting our corners kind of settled, to get started, Leonard, the earliest dispatch I could find from you disparaging reality TV online was in 2011, which was a year before $1 Million Listing New York premiered. More on that pilot later. You said, "To me, the biggest problem with reality TV is how it skewers fact horrifically and makes fiction reality to the masses." Does that still ring true to you 14 years later?
I think I was predicting something worldwide at the moment. I absolutely believe that there has been a terrible shift in the way television specifically has the very powerful ability to distort and create a reality that is very far removed from reality. But I guess we all deserve some unreality in life, so maybe it satisfies a guilty pleasure.
Can you take us back to that moment in time? What first radicalized you to start posting your truth against reality TV?
He posts about everything, though, right?
That's true.
I talk too much.
You're a voice for the industry. I don't think it's specific to...
I think I talk too much, but I think reality TV started to become an issue to me when I saw it play out in real estate, because then it started to resonate with me. And I think when you're an expert in something, you look at things with a much more critical eye. And I do believe I was highly critical of it starting out because I could sense that it was not real.
Eleonora, now,
Yes.
your show premiered on Netflix in January.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have said you see the show as a PR campaign, not only for the job of a broker, the industry, but the city at large. This far after the premiere, how do you think it did?
Well, I just want to say a few things. First of all, if you watched my show, Leonard didn't.
I watched the first episode.
If you watched it, you know that...
Eleonora forced me to.
You know that I don't punch down. And so that's the reason why I agreed to do this, because Leonard, I've basically known this name since I got into the industry, and I admire and respect you, and even though I don't totally agree with your opinion on this, I would not be here if your name wasn't attached to it. So that's number one. Two, I'm only an advocate for my show and my behavior. I'm not here to defend everyone on every reality show that's ever been done, certainly not on every real estate reality show. All I said was that I thought that it was a net positive, right? So I've watched now your videos, I hear your point of view, but I think net, it's been a positive for the industry, and I think that's shown in sort of studies of perception of we're already in an industry with a very low barrier to entry. I think that's sort of just perception, the amount of people who are getting their licenses and want to join the industry. Holistically, though, I think like a lot of what you say is a commentary on just like culture and maybe social media, not
Or lack
just...
thereof.
Or lack thereof, right, or lack thereof.
Okay, so...
And then I just want to say one more thing. You told me that you were very put off in the first episode about like my shoes. They're not stripper heels, they're like $1,500 shoes, so I just need to clarify that.
That's a great lead-in to a quote I have
like
handy.
Valentino Tangos. I work really hard to be able to pay for them, so.
In the fall, on LinkedIn, actually, Leonard, you criticized reality TV shows, particularly in terms of real estate, as often portraying women as bimbos or worse. That language, I think, feels at best outdated and sexist, but are they mutually exclusive, portraying a glamorous, kind of cutting-edge image on TV and closing deals?
Well, I think the first thing I want to say is I don't think it's fair for Eleonora to be here to represent the entire reality TV world, because hers is one show and that's it. And I could be much more critical about other shows and other players. And I do think different players have been different in different shows. But when it comes to that subject, I think maybe my choice of words there was a bit harsh. But I do believe of all industries or professions in the world, females have really risen above males in so many circumstances in this one career where they truly are equals. And I felt that this show, in so many ways, portrayed an image of women that if I was a woman would feel extremely disappointed in, because I feel it, I think it over-sexualizes the role of a professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not critique of you, but I
not
think
me,
this
right.
was the most extraordinary opportunity, actually.
But is that not
Okay.
true industry-wide? I mean, look.
Oh, I think the guys
I-
look like
I
stripper
actually
males.
think- right. So first of all, just specific to my show, the only people that like took any clothes off were the men, right? Steve and Justin had a nice sort of lubed up basketball scene,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Steve's opening montage is coming out of the shower.
Oh, I didn't see that part, but I think
see?
that's very
Okay, so
important
there's
because
one.
I always come out of the shower in my towel.
But there's always a
in my
comment
job. I think it's
about my
ver-
latex top, and not Steve wearing a towel.
Well, you know, you're absolutely right about that. And I think Eleanor makes a very important point that I do think at the end of the day, the guilty party here is not necessarily the players, because you have producers and a machine that sees extraordinary opportunity for cheap content. And let's face it, putting together a reality TV show is a lot cheaper than producing a television show. So you have this incredible opportunity to create cheap content. And if you want to create drama, real estate is kind of a boring thing. It's not that terribly exciting or dramatic. And you have to inject that.
Right, but
I
there are
think-
TV shows about servers at restaurants. That's not that dramatic either. But Vanderpump Rules was like.
Have
the
you ever
number
worked
one
in a
show.
ractually
I actually have. I was a hostess. It wasn't that.
pretty dramatic.
I actually think many would argue with
Actually,
you.
right.
I think real estate being such a visual focused industry, I think there are plenty of egos. You don't think that feeds well into reality TV? I mean, we also just see interpersonal drama. Who's gonna, just keep it to the work or keep it to the industry? Particularly with Eleonora's show, it takes a look at her life in general. So that's where you.
Well, can I
come
just
in.
go back to sort of how we dress and how we sort of sexualize or not sexualize ourselves? I think, first of all, if you watch the show, and if you know me, you know that I didn't always look this way or appear this way. I was 22 when I started.
You
in
don't
the
come to
industry.
my showings dressed this way,
I
which I'm
definitely
very
don't.
disappointed.
I know, sorry. But women, we live in a world where we simply appear more sexualized than men. We have more sexual sort of components to our body and our existence. That does exist, right? So like us wanting to look good might involve showcasing the shape of our body. Whereas men all sort of black tie events, like you all wear the same thing. You all look, there's nothing sort of unique or identifying or sexual in nature. But to make myself sort of look frumpier or unattractive in an effort to sort of distract from how I look and have people focus on what I'm saying is sort of a struggle that women have dealt with all the time. But I certainly wasn't going to do this show and deny a part of who I am.
But I do think you made a very important point there.
Right.
You specifically said this is not the way you dress in real life. So you
I
chose
I do dress
to
like
look
this
a
in
certain
real life.
way
I just don't
on
dress
a
like
show
this
to entertain.
in a showing, right? So if you watch the show, there are very distinct lines between the outfits that I wear in a real estate scene. There's sort of an element of modesty, and also, there's just other things. Like I wouldn't wear anything sort of controversial or that.
You're saying for more professional settings.
Yeah, in a professional standpoint.
Yeah.
But when I go out, I dress however I want.
Sure.
I've earned it at this point. I've established myself for my business and everything else first. So,
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to talk more about, I don't expect anyone on the stage to come up with a cultural explanation for Jersey Shore or why we are where we are with the TLC. But in the realm of real estate reality TV, that is, Eleonora, I think Selling Sunset caught the most heat for talking about how women dressed and presented themselves on TV, along with things like showing asking prices, commission prices that could just be inflated, misleading, all those critiques. How did you prepare or see that coming to come into play in your own experience in joining that franchise?
So in terms of, first of all, I think Selling Sunset of all the real estate shows does the most justice for the real estate. They actually go frame by frame. They color correct each scene. the homes look beautiful. I'm sorry, but like the treatment that gives the real estate is far superior to any other real estate reality show. It's a visual show, it's an aspirational show, and certainly the women who are on that cast understand that people are intrigued by how they look and what they wear. And look, I think the audience, Leonard, a lot of your sort of criticism has to do with their accomplishments and sort of what have they actually done or not. I think the audience generally sees through that. I think there's a range. I also sort of struggled when we were looking at my show about having sort of cast members that had done a lot and then those who haven't. There needs to be some sort of range or something to compare one's success to in a way on these shows.
Did you have to prepare yourself or your team members for kind of what would come once you put yourselves out there on that platform?
I don't really know how you can prepare for this, but as someone who's watched reality TV, I think that generally you prepare by knowing that like everything's on the table. And there were ways that I wanted them to conduct themselves. Like, look, you have to be strategic. I know that in a professional setting or in front of a client, there are ways that I'm comfortable acting and there are ways that I'm not. And then this is actually called an occupational soap opera. So the show is really about sort of a group of women in business, and the only way to make the show relatable is to talk about real issues, which we do. We have financial issues on the show, fertility issues. Those are the things that people connect with. The real estate is sort of, the backdrop of the entertainment.
And that's still net positive. Is everyone taking you as kind of a character, sharing your real life? You're still saying that's net positive for the industry?
I think it's a net positive for the industry because I got into this industry 15 years ago when, everyone here was like on Craigslist trying to get clients. And so I think there are a lot of factors that have made the industry better, more transparent, aspirational. I think there's a universal sentiment that real estate was for people who had failed in other industries. I got my undergraduate degree in business. I certainly never in a million years thought that like I would just be an agent, like my friends who would graduate. So I think, there is a sense that like now I meet people all the time who are like, I want to be in real estate when I grow up. I want to be in real estate when I graduate college. I want to be an agent. It's nice to see that people want to be in sales or can take pride in sort of transactional real estate.
Well, I think my issue is that looking at soap operas of the past and assuming this is a new version of a soap opera, I think opening up the bathroom door is fine, but once you open up the toilet door, there's no other door to open. And I think sometimes it's just too much. But worse than that, I think of all the female agents that I work with and have worked over the last 25 years, I just feel badly for them that those coming into the industry might think that looking and acting and dressing a certain way is the only way to success.
But those people don't succeed. And by the way, it is true to the industry.
They do succeed. I will tell you, I think reality TV has made star agents out of agents who might have otherwise been rather mediocre. So I do think for agents it has been extraordinary. But the problem I have with real estate reality TV
But that is true. 87% of people who get into the industry fail. They're sorry, but look at what happened in the pandemic. Half of the Miami girls.
I know, but that's a sad message. Isn't that an awful message to show that it's so easy?
But that is true for our industry. That's not because of these shows.
But the shows portray a style of brokerage that looks so easy, and not your show specifically. And I don't want to beat up on Eleanor.
It's pretty evident, though, if you watch the shows, who's doing deals and who's...
But if you look at some of these shows where they show the commission as someone is walking into an apartment with a calculator, figuring out how much the commission is, when the commission doesn't speak about any expenses, that message is...
Saying the perception is
So by the way, on my show, I specifically said
Eleanor.
we're not going to flash the commission amount. I actually said that was proprietary. I don't want people to know if we're getting paid 1 or 2 or 3%. I just want the sale price. That was a subtle change that maybe nobody noticed.
But the problem is with that commission is it doesn't speak truth. It speaks to a specific element that's
all I can do is sort of explain what I did that was different.
Okay.
But we didn't have that commission number.
Right, and I'm not accusing you of it, and I don't think it's fair. By the way, Eleonora is tougher than most other reality TV players.
By the way, Ryan and Steve both said they would never
from a show. I was cancelled from an Inman event because we were going to speak about this exact subject 5 years ago by a very prominent reality TV guy who, when he saw me on the panel, was very weary of having this discussion. So my hat's off to Eleonora for having the guts to come here and talk about this.
Okay.
Thank you. It's not good. Yeah. Thank you.
We are at a very
I'm not afraid.
evolved moment. I mean, isn't there
very
something to
happy.
say,
I
though?
think
You're
it's a great
talking about
opportunity.
it maybe wrongly or inappropriately benefiting some greener agents who take the chance of exposure, but
So we
isn't
could-
that a
there are
potential...
examples of agents that were newer that sort of went on the show and were like, yeah, I'm just going to on a show, and where are they now?
I don't know that that's reality, but if you know, a greener member of Eleonora, you had a younger member of your show who's less experience, you know, building up business on your team, does that not set you up if you're willing to take that gamble that maybe you could take more for success? And
No,
you know, if you're facing the downsides that reality TV has,
I can
then
assure you
you
that
could
even
face the
in 3
upsides
months,
as well.
even in 3 months, if they're not actually going to show up to team meetings, work, take on listings, do the work, it will not pay off in real. It might pay off in another career, but it won't pay off in real estate. And by the way, these issues come up on the show. I spoke about the fact that I'm investing and spending money, and there are a lot of expenses and splits, and you know, time that I've given up, and there are sort of, you know, these are all subject matter. It's not. Everyone likes to call it hard work. It's not hard work. It's sacrifice and time. Don't go sit outside on a beautiful day like today and have a drink and sit in a lobby for 6 hours and hope someone shows up.
But do you think that
these
it's
things come
impossible
up.
to portray that within the confines of a reality
it's not a
TV show?
documentary, but I think to a degree, yeah, I think to the degree that it is possible, I think we sort of achieved that.
So thus, you know, necessitates a disclaimer as part of the episode.
There are disclaimers.
Which you guys include.
We
Right.
have a disclaimer.
Right. So we're just seeing a slice of your life as an agent.
Yes.
But I want to
By the way, as is
Okay.
social media. I'm sorry, but like, please, I'd like everyone here to post with like no filters, and when they're going to the bath, I mean, this is a slice of life.
It's an
Leonard.
age
Sorry,
we live
I'm very
in. Okay,
distracted.
Leonard,
I'm very
Leonard.
distracted because I keep comparing shoes. And I want everyone to take note.
Leonard,
Yeah.
I heard the shoes were
Those are-
what
and by the
turned
way,
you off
when
of
I
the
show
first
up-
episode.
When I come to showings, what am I usually wearing?
Well, exactly. That's my
Yeah.
point. You are selling to the world an image that is a inaccurate
But I
assessment
still
of who
own
you
these
are.
shoes.
I'm happy you own the shoes, but you don't wear
Okay.
them in real life, in real estate.
I wear them at night when I go
Today
out.
you're wearing them.
Yeah,
I
well,
like-
they're
and I
comfortable.
think they're
Thank you.
beautiful
Thank
shoes.
you.
I think but Eleonora, you would say it's an amped up version of your reality.
By the way, as is everything. As is social media, yeah.
Okay, so it's more of a
an
slice
edited,
of the time we're
it's a
living in.
snippet edited, turn the volume up 30% version of your life.
I would like to talk about when
And who you
reality
are.
does creep in.
But it doesn't
to your
mean that
show.
it's not true to form.
Okay. When reality does creep into your show, last year was a really tough time for the industry. I think there was more eyes than ever on how real estate brokers make their money. Nationally, brokerages took a hit with a landmark settlement as part of NAR's class action lawsuits. In New York, rental broker fees were outlawed. And, you know, a couple times in the show, I think you even cite REBNY laws when, you know, a broker is
Like when
suggested to have
correcting.
poached
Yep.
something. What was it like ramping up to put yourself on this platform in probably the toughest year yet for the industry, when more people than ever have questions of what brokers are doing to earn their money?
I was excited. I didn't think about it in that sense at all. I'm good at what I do. I feel very prepared. I mean, I'm good at what I do. I like it. It's an arena that I feel comfortable in. I think that I deserve to be here. This show wasn't accidental. This was many years of fighting for it and fighting for it to be the way that I wanted it to be, and not making compromises, not being on another show, not being on, you know, dating shows, not moving to the West Coast. This was the production company I wanted. It was the network I wanted. So I was ready. I also, you know, take a lot of pride being from New York. I was happy to represent the city, not just like as a real estate agent who loves their job, but as a native New Yorker. And yeah, and I was excited. I certainly wasn't thinking.
I think
yeah.
just devil's advocate, if people are looking from the outside in, let's say, not even New Yorkers, did you consider that at all, that there was kind of this is an aspirational slice of life, that would kind of land wrongly with anybody?
I'm a consumer of reality television. I believe that what makes reality TV successful is when you focus on a subsect of sort of society, whether it's, you know, cultural or career driven. I think that's what makes these shows fun and different. No.
And yours wasn't
I
the
think
only.
it's all fun.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
And yours wasn't the only to come out last year. We talked to Ryan Serhant this morning, who also had a Netflix show premiere, of course, last year. Just also with all this carnage happening in the industry and elsewhere. Leonard, do you feel like ever since you started thinking about this topic, it's gotten a more urgent problem? You know, as more outsiders are looking into the industry.
No,
Did it feel more urgent last year?
This is what I feel has happened in the 10 or 15 years that I've been kvetching about this, because I do complain a lot about it, and I admit that, and I'm not pointing fingers exclusively at Eleonora.
You're calling out, what I see is that you're calling out agents to sort of correct the record, right?
Well, let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
This is my thought, and I think this is the most important thought of the day, if anything. For a long time, I've been yelling about reality TV promoting an image of agents that is quick, easy money. It shows a lot of really bad behaviors, and it has been outstanding for careers. It has absolutely been an outstanding source of public relations and exposure to the planet. There's no question in my mind. I've been accused of being jealous. I'm not jealous, but what I am going to tell you now is that for the last dozen or so years, if anyone has any doubt as to what this cost the other million-plus agents in the profession, simply look at the $1 billion worth of settlements that had to be paid out last year from our industry because there was a set of jurors who have a perception that what we do is so easy, quick, and so much money.
I think
That is a bad reality.
I think that perception precedes reality television.
But it's, if any,
Sorry, Eleanor, can we hear your response again?
Sorry, I think that perception precedes reality television.
No, I think when you have these huge commission numbers thrown up on a screen where someone is about to pop into a jet to Miami, smoking cigarettes, eating caviar, and
Talking
throwing a
about
drink,
Ryan, I think he just went to Miami on a
it
jet.
just feels so quick, easy, and then you add in the Instagram, the Facebook, the television, and all these other things. And let's face it, I got thrown off the Real Deal masthead. You're a star now.
But agents have been doing that on Instagram since the birth of social media.
That is,
but
you bring
the
up a good
reality
point.
They have been
Leonard,
going
your
on private planes.
your venue of choice is posting on Instagram.
Yes.
What crosses the line for you beyond that small screen?
Well, I've tried an OnlyFans page, but I didn't get one fan.
I'll help you.
I'm going to work on the shoes. But I think the key is every agent has a different brand. And I respect the fact that people do things differently. What I do, Eleanor won't do, and vice versa, and I completely respect that. My brand personally will not cross a certain line. One, because I'm sure if I took a picture of myself coming out of the shower with a towel wrapped around me, I would lose clients, number one, and number two, people might get violently ill.
But
I think
Leonard,
on that note,
you're
Leonard,
not doing that at a list. You're allowed to be a person too.
I'm allowed to be a person too, but I come from an old world, maybe because I'm older, where I close the bathroom door when I go to the toilet. I'm sorry, it's just who I am.
I get it, but right. So that's exactly, you're making my point. No one posts on social media when they're on the toilet. But when they look good,
show a lot.
But when they look good and they want a thirst trap, they will.
I know.
It's the same
Look,
thing.
I also think with filters, who knows what reality is? I think we've recently seen
Agree.
a lifestyle in real estate broadcast to the world that a lot of people thought was the dream lifestyle that has now ended up in jail.
I think we'd be remiss. For those who might have missed it in March 2012, Leonard himself was in the pilot of $1 Million Listing New York. So I'm hearing a lot about your principles and your standards now. I want to hear a little bit more about that.
I think
You've
Leonard
since
was on the
said-
originals, was on Selling New York. That's why we couldn't name the show Selling New York.
You've since said that it was all fake, and you took on Michael Lorber as a possible broker to help you out on a downtown loft, asking nearly $4 million. In 2017, you kind of came clean. Can you tell us about that experience, and does that still haunt you?
So you did lower your standards.
I did lower my standards, and I would be the first to admit it, and that's why I'm a chief evangelist. I'm here to forgive everyone, including myself. I did the first episode of $1 Million Listing, and I really did not want to do it, but there was someone on the show who was the owner of our company, and I was very, very much encouraged to participate. And I was actually.
You had already done another show, so you had experience in this world.
Maybe I'd appeared on a showing or something like that, but I've never been in one of these shows, and I probably wouldn't qualify. I'm too ugly.
Right.
Have you seen me without a shirt? I mean, it's disgusting. But, and I cannot...
Maybe on OnlyFans next year.
I cannot walk the New York City streets in anything taller than these Hoka heels. But the showing was fake. It was a apartment that was in contract, and there was a negotiation that happened over a table at Cipriani at 3 o'clock. I don't eat lunch at 3. I've never negotiated at Cipriani. I've never negotiated over lunch on speakerphone, and I've never ever shown an apartment that was in contract.
Leonard, this is a lot of commentary on $1 Million Listing. It just is. We don't even
it's
have
a commentary on real estate reality
Well,
TV that is
experiences.
too fake too often.
Sure, but that has tainted your experience for the rest of reality TV.
Well, I think the problem is too many people think that reality TV is a marketing tool for real estate. It's not. It is a marketing tool for agents. And it is cheap entertainment for big networks.
I don't think anyone alleges that it's a marketing tool for real estate.
Oh,
How can you?
I've been on
by the way,
pitches
I'm sorry.
before.
How can you? How is that possible when we filmed
There are
6
reality
months before?
TVs.
How is that
Exactly.
possible?
You're absolutely right.
Right. Okay. So who says that? It builds. By the way, if you look over time, there are certainly agents who have used it and have become very successful. Right.
Yes, but there have been agents in the
who
pitch.
have not. There are those who have not.
The agents who've been in a pitch who have specifically said, I will get your property on my show, but they didn't finish the other half of the sentence, which is, and by the way, this is basically a documentary that has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
I think that you're assuming that your sellers are dumb because, like, there's no. I mean, they understand that.
Oh no, they were smart
film
enough
now-
to smell something.
I got it, but they understand that if they film now, it only airs 6 months late, right? They do know that. So it's.
I'd like to hear from you both.
It's
Are we
timing.
just
For new developments? It can be theoretically a platform that offers more exposure.
Are we describing are there just two types of agents? One that can take advantage of this, that can handle it, that are not too high-minded for the medium?
I think there are a few. I think that there are people, everyone has the right to make a living for upward mobility and to self-determination. There are certainly people that have gone on these shows, whether it's Selling Sunset or Too Hot to Handle, and have made a career out of something else. Have built a brand.
I agree
and
with
it's
you
not real
100%.
estate.
I agree with you 100%. The problem is I find that the damage it does for the other 1 million+ people who are impacted by a image that is portrayed that is far removed from reality is damaging. And I hate to say the word, it's selfish, but I understand this business is a selfish business.
I think that imagery started going out with social media. We are salespeople. We don't have anything to offer other than ourselves. That is it. That is our skill. We are selling our ability. It is brand. Everyone has a right to brand. You were the first one. You had that newsletter, right?
But I wasn't selling
you can brand,
me. I was selling my services.
You can back it up. A lot of people. I've seen so many people set up I'm going to do a YouTube show about selling real estate and they've never sold an apartment. That happens with or without reality television. But they all have the right to try to brand themselves.
Agree that.
So that goes back to my question.
And it lands or it doesn't.
But do you realize that the consistent promotion 24/7, 7 days of the week, 365 days of the year, for a decade plus, has created a very specific understanding amongst the majority of people, including jurors, and it has cost this industry $1 billion.
Leonard, where's the line? I think content creator is just a part of the job title of broker now. Do you agree with that? And then when does that cross over into selling something that's not real?
I'm not going to be
I remember 2013, by the way, I was uncomfortable starting an Instagram account. I was. I thought it was oh, okay, I got it, but everyone else was doing it. You had to do it. You had to put yourself out there.
Well, I think every agent has a different style of doing business, and every agent has a different style of securing business and securing clients. And I think in that lies the message about reality television. Mm-hmm. I think everyone is just different.
I think overall, whether it's reality television, I actually also should credit The Real Deal having a trade magazine, having a trade show, StreetEasy and Zillow for making information more accessible and transparent. I think overall the industry, the perception of the industry has improved. I think that there is a desire, people want to get into it, whether they succeed or have false expectations.
Yes, but I think,
but
reality
I think
TV,
net,
Okay.
yeah.
but reality TV
Leonard.
has made heroes and celebrities. You're a celebrity now, and the celebrity value is what gets prioritized, even at The Real Deal, which is a trade publication. So, for instance, someone like me, who has helped a company grow from a 50-person company to a 40,000-person company, selling $1 trillion in 10 years, I have disappeared from The Real Deal headband, but Eleonora is there, and I'm not jealous of this or angry about it, but it is because Eleonora will bring in the crowd. I won't.
You're in our rankings,
Well, they've ignored me
Leonard.
for
I don't
long
know
enough.
about that.
Well, they've ignored me for long enough. So
Yeah,
I'm happy that
but
you know.
it's
I'm happy
sad that
it's
that's what it took.
Got it. But guess what? Guess who's not on here? Some of the other cast members of this show or other shows. I can back it up. I think it's very evident, Leonard. If you look at the agents who have been successful with the platform, they are also good agents. They've taken it right. It's not pure luck at this point. And there are people who have also been on these shows and have completely faded away into oblivion.
I just
And
feel
that happens in real life too, right?
I just feel badly for the very many female agents, especially, who I feel have been kind of never given the platform that has been afforded to you, not necessarily in a reality TV perspective, but they are not on the stage.
But you're acting like it was by chance afforded to me. I worked very hard to get that I worked very hard to get that opportunity, and I was strategic. I saw an opening on the show to tell my story, and I used it. It's not like, that's just saying like, oh, you got lucky, you met a producer and they put you on Netflix because you look attractive. I clawed my way into this role, and no one said, oh, like, Eleonora, go out onto this scene and talk about the journey and the hard work that it took to build your business. You also have to, you have to meet them halfway. I also knew that I had, an opportunity here to sort of convey what I wanted to convey about this industry.
And I admire that. I
Right,
will
but
just say that
those are the people who find success in the industry.
Is done
with
often
these
at the
shows.
expense of a wide swath of people, and unfortunately,
So
it
I
establishes a reputation for an entire
I
profession.
think it uplifts a lot of those people. And again, the other people who've been given this platform and don't do the same thing, don't succeed.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Leonard, what's the ideal solution? What's the path forward from here?
I would love to see these shows
He needs to be on my
continue.
show.
I want a big disclaimer. What you are about to see is fiction. It is partially real.
Can I tell you something?
It is part of-
Netflix is too big of a company. They do have a disclosure.
I know the disclosure is like the one you hear on the radio.
And by the way, listen, I got a lot of flack. Let me just say this: I got a lot of flack on my show for not having enough, transactions or sort of. I thought mine was very true to form.
I just think
We
all the shows should have a
struggled with
disclaimer.
listing.
Okay.
That's a good start.
Just labeled clearly.
By the way,
Eleonora?
but then should people put that same disclaimer on their social media? And it's, right now, actually, I think it's nice that there's a more collaborative nature between the companies and The Real Deal and Real Trends and sort of all the other ranking systems. But do you remember years ago when it was just like, let's look at, what listings they have online, and then agents would take listings and combine them, and they were like, oh, I think The Real Deal looks in this week of May. It's all about it's sort of this self-promotion, inflated, embellished form of life. Ultimately, you got to do the work, right? This is an industry where there are no you're saying, there are no
Yes,
shortcuts. And so it filters itself out.
I agree, but
Okay.
on the Real
And
Deal
you
stage,
also, you just said you built a whole company, you've sold more than probably anyone else in this room. Why are you punching down? Why do you care about these girls that are on these shows? Don't punch down.
I'm not caring about the people on the show at all. I am punching down on the impact, the perception that has been built by these shows impacts those who have not done that kind of brokerage. And unfortunately, we are a profession, and we're in a very, very serious business, and I don't think of a single financial advisor, I don't see a lawyer or anyone who portrays themselves that way anywhere.
They're
Okay.
not in a transactional business. They get paid
Yes,
out.
they are.
We need
But they
final
get paid
thoughts.
hourly.
We need final
They
thoughts.
get
I
paid-
could do
they
this all
get
day,
salary.
you guys, but we need final thoughts. Okay, Eleonora, season 2? Are we
No
looking
clue.
at?
No idea.
We don't know? Okay, exciting.
I'm really happy with what I put out. If that's where it ends, great. If not, and we'll see what happens. And if not, and if we come back, then hopefully Leonard will do a showing scene with me.
Leonard, do you think you can bear to live in a world where more reality TV shows are coming out in the near
Look,
future?
watching the shows is a choice, although sometimes in the gym you can't avoid them. But watching the show is the choice.
By the way,
I
you were
don't-
like, housewives are probably so embarrassed about watching Real Housewives, and then last night I heard you're like obsessed with the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
I thought
so.
that was a cultural moment in history when a table was flipped on television and
important
someone's
moment. It was.
weaves were
Exactly.
pulled out live. I was like, Jerry Springer ain't got nothing on you. And then it happened in real estate.
I will say,
It
I would love to
sucks.
see more furniture in season 2, making a move across the room. Okay.
By the way, we had a pretty good finale.
You did. We're looking forward to seeing more.